Guys. We will be going into sports talk today with me, Patrick. So some big topics today is NBA free agency. A lot of deals got done today, or I should say yesterday. I made this a day after, but so we'll just go through all the deals and how these help each team. So first deal is Kyrie Irving with the Mavericks. Decided to stay with the Mavericks for 126 million for over 3 years. Um, Biggest thing with this signing by the Mavericks, it seems more like a way of the Mavericks trying to get more players in and kind of shop that free agency. Hey, we have Kyrie Irving. Would you like to come play with us? It also keeps Luka in Dallas. The biggest thing is Luka has always said he wanted a second star. They shipped out Kristaps Porzingis because he couldn't work with Luka. I think that's more on Luka's fault, and same with Jalen Brunson. They just didn't want to give him a deal, which they should have. So now they have Kyrie. So with Kyrie, um, I I don't know if they'll make it to they'll make it to the playoffs. I'm sure. I don't know if they'll make it to uh, the finals, mainly because Kyrie's never been known to be able to bring a team to the finals. We saw that happen with Boston. We saw that happen with Brooklyn. The only time he's been with the finals team is when LeBron was on it, and I don't think LeBron's going to Dallas. So for now, I would say that with the Mavericks, it's more of a playoff team, and I don't think that's what Luka wants. I think Luka wants to win the championship, but we'll kind of see how it goes from there. Um, Another thing with that is how long is Kyrie really going to stay there? Is he going to, after the Mavs don't make it to the championship, is he just going to force his way out, cause a big commotion, something like that? I mean, this is what everybody forgets, but with the Nets, he was doing really well. Kevin Durant was injured. The Nets were stomping everybody. And then Kyrie didn't get the deal he wanted from the Nets, and the Nets didn't want to give him the deal. So what do you do? He forces his way out, and now he's with the Mavs, and the Mavs gave him a long-term deal, which I would not have done. So next we got Fred VanVleet to the Rockets. So I talked about this on my last video and stream. So I was saying that Fred VanVleet to the Rockets would be pretty good just because it gives the Rockets some veteran presence in their locker room. It also gives them a really good point guard that they can use. So just a lot of good things for the Rockets. Let's see. So it looks like they gave him a 3-year, $130 million contract. Um, Fred VanVleet is pretty. He signed in 2016, so he's getting up there in age. He's played about 7 seasons. I do think that he'll be good as a veteran presence. He has won a championship, obviously, in 2019 with the Raptors against the Golden State Warriors. He's also just a really good point guard. I think it's really good for the Rockets to get him and for the Raptors to get rid of him. I don't think he was really doing much for the Raptors. They're not a championship team right now, so I think it's really good for Fred VanVleet and the Rockets and the Raptors. Big story. This is mostly for me. Draymond Green signed a 4-year, $100 million contract to return to the Golden State Warriors. So I kind of predicted this, that Draymond would go back to the Warriors. he's not going to go to a team like the Trailblazers where he's not guaranteed to win a championship. I think the biggest thing for Draymond is he realized that with Golden State is his most likely place to win a championship. We'll see how that goes this year because, like I said before, they do have Chris Paul. Chris Paul has not been known to be that championship force in a locker room. He is a winning player, but he's not a championship player, as we saw with the Suns when they went up against the Bucks. So for Draymond, I would say that the biggest thing for him is now to just stick to playing his defensive way. Hopefully the Warriors can still build around this team of Steph, Clay, and Draymond and Chris Paul. Like I had said last stream, I think the biggest thing they need is they need another big to give Chris Paul on the bench because I hope Chris Paul is willing to play off. I'm hoping that Chris Paul can play off the starting lineup. We'll see how that goes. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I really do hope it will, just because I think that'll be the best thing for the Warriors is Chris Paul off the bench and a big playing with him that he can run pick and roll with. Biggest thing with the Warriors is they were this kind of get back into Chris Paul trade, but they were last in the league in pick and rolls until the playoffs because they spanned pick and roll in the playoffs with Steph and Draymond. So hopefully this year during the regular season they can get more of that pick and roll from Chris Paul, and kind of expand their offense so they're not always just running down the court trying to be a fast offense, passing and being the Warriors offense that has got them that just couldn't do it last year against the Lakers. So I think this is good for Draymond. I didn't really see him wanting to go to another team anyway, so I think this is going to be good for the Warriors and for Draymond. Okay, next up we got Middleton re-signed with the Bucks. So this kind of shocked me. I did think Chris Middleton was going to leave the Milwaukee Bucks, but he decided to go back. He got a 3-year deal for up to $102 million. So I think the biggest thing that surprised me was with him going back, the Bucks taking him back. I know that he's a pretty good shooter, but I also understand that he has been injured quite a bit in the last couple of years. It's kind of the reason that the Bucks didn't make it to the championship the 2 years before. So last year against the Heat, obviously, and the year before against the Celtics, they lost. I don't understand this move. I think it was just more of a keeping the veteran around, keeping somebody who's been in the system for a long time. I think he wanted to stay. We'll see. This team is pretty old at this point. They won that championship back in 2021, but now this team is starting to look old. They don't look young anymore. They have a lot of old players. Bringing Chris Middleton back is, He was an all-star forward who averaged 15 points a game, for about 5 assists a game, and about 4 rebounds a game. Not bad numbers, but also not great numbers if he's one of your top 3. So that's my biggest thing with that move is just you're still old. I don't know if you can win a championship against the young Celtics who just got Kristaps Porzingis, or if you can win against the Heat again, because the Heat kind of dominated you last year. So, okay, let's see. Right. So the Trailblazers re-signed Jeremy Grant for 5 years, $160 million. So that's a lot of money, but it sounds like a lot of money, but it's really not. So next year, the TV ratings should be up, hopefully, and so more money from TV is going to be coming into the NBA, which means the salary cap will go up. So this deal actually will be pretty good for the team in case they ever want to move off them, or in case they ever, if they want to keep them and try to build around Dame. So last season, 20 points, averaged 20 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and shot about 40% from 3. I think the biggest thing with this is just keeping that veteran around Dame and just trying to build. Grant has always been pretty decent at defense and a pretty good at 3-point range. Just gives Dame another shooter to pass to. So I think that's a pretty good one in case they ever do need to trade Grant, but we'll see if they ever do or not. I don't think they will. Bruce Brown won a championship with the Nuggets this year. Now is part of the Indiana Pacers for 2 years, $45 million. So Bruce Brown, he was a big help during the playoffs. He was the shooter, defensive guy, just kind of gave the Nuggets what they needed during the championship in order to win. Everybody knew they were going to lose him this year. It was just a matter of who was going to take him. So I guess the deciding factor was the Pacers decided to take him. The good thing, though, is the Nuggets did get to retain Reggie Jackson and DeAndre Jordan. Reggie Jackson is a good point guard off the bench who can give you a good amount of assists each night. And DeAndre Jordan is just a big man down low who can come off the bench for Jokic. So 2 really good pickups and keeps. Sad to see Bruce Brown go. He was pretty good for the Nuggets. Me living in Colorado, I do like to go see Nuggets games when they do play the Warriors or some other team. I'm not a big Nuggets fan, but I did go to the finals game 1 this year. So okay, next up, Kuzma re-signing with the Wizards. So Kyle Kuzma re-signed with the Wizards for a 4-year, $102 million deal. So I think this was more of we need to keep a star to put with Jordan Poole now that Jordan Poole is part of the Wizards. Kyle Kuzma is a good shooter and a good defender. He averaged 21 points this year, along with 7 rebounds and 3 assists. So good. He has a good shooting and good rebounding kind of fit with the Wizards. Biggest thing is I don't imagine that the Wizards are going to be a playoff team. I doubt they'll even make it to play in. Like I said last time, Jordan Poole is going to make them a fun, flashy team. People are going to want to go watch the team, but I don't think that they're going to be winning any championships anytime soon, especially with re-signing Kyle Kuzma. 2 stars like Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole aren't exactly a championship team, so I don't see that going very far. Next up, Cavaliers reached deals with Caris LeVert and Georges Niang. So the guard Caris LeVert has agreed on 2-year, $32 million contract. And Georges Niang, a forward, will sign a 3-year, $26 million contract. So could he have got more with the 76ers? Probably not. It's still he's probably going to be part of hopefully a team that can go past the second round this year after not making it last year. Georges Niang has been known as a very good wing shooter, and that'll be great for Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland when they're trying to spam pick and roll. The other team can't just go 3-on-2 and basically shut down the pick and roll. Now they have to worry about Georges Niang, who's going to be on the wing and is a very knockdown shooter from the wing. Biggest thing here is so now I would say the Cavs are probably going to make it to the championship conference championship. But I think they'll be getting stopped by the Boston Celtics this year. So they'll make it there, and they'll probably beat the 76ers to do it. But I don't see them beating the Celtics to get to the finals. But I think the Cavs are going to be really good this year. So I am excited for that team. Truly. Next up, we got Porzingis and Celtics agree to an extension. So the Boston Celtics and Kristaps Porzingis are expected to finalize a 2-year, approximately $60 million extension. That is from Chris Haynes. So, like I said before, Kristaps Porzingis is hopefully going to be a good fit with the Celtics. They're not going to get jammed up trying to drive to the basket. He'll be a big man down there that can shoot. He's a really good three-point shooter. He's not a very good rim protector, but he is pretty good at blocking shots if he needs to. So throughout his career high last season, he only played 65 games last season, but he averaged 23 points, 8 rebounds, and about 2 blocks, I would say. He's also a 38.5% three-point shooter. That is pretty good, being he's not going to be looked at a lot as a three-point shooter. But I honestly, I think this is good for them to try to keep Kristaps Porzingis. Obviously, a lot of their big men are injured a lot, but so is Porzingis. So we'll kind of see how that dynamic plays out. I think this will be good for the team. Just having another three-point shooter that can defend down low. Next up, Gabe Vincent to the Lakers. So Gabe Vincent has decided to sign a 3-year, $33 million deal, courtesy of Shams for that. So Gabe Vincent is a undrafted point guard that went to the finals last year with the Heat. I think the Lakers saw something that they wanted with him, and they decided to go after him. I think the Lakers didn't want D'Angelo Russell really running the offense anymore, and I think that's why they decided to get Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent was really good last year in the finals, running the offense for the Heat. Sad to see him go. We'll see how the Heat will do with that loss after they're trying to get rid of Kyle Lowry or restructure the contract. Will they bring Kyle Lowry back to the starting lineup? I don't know. I doubt it. So now that Gabe Vincent is with the Lakers have a good point guard, so they don't have to rely on Austin Reeves to be that point guard. Like I said before, Austin Reeves probably should not be a point guard. He's very turnover prone. He makes some mistakes. He is young. He's undrafted. Most of the time when Austin Reeves was in that position, they were having LeBron actually bring it up the floor and be that point guard. So I think this kind of fixes that problem where Gabe Vincent is now going to be the point guard. Austin Reeves is going to be that shooting guard. and LeBron and Anthony Davis and hopefully Rui Hachimura can all be in that starting lineup and just be a dominant team this year. We'll see how this goes, but yeah, I think honestly I could see this team possibly making it past the Nuggets this year and maybe make it to the finals. All depending, though, on whether or not Anthony Davis can stay healthy and if LeBron can stay healthy. Because I would say this is kind of LeBron's like last year out of two kind of thing. So we will see how that trade goes. But honestly, I think it's a really good trade to get Gabe Vincent on that team. Next up, so the Nets are deciding to trade Joe Harris to the Detroit Pistons. I think this is pretty good. Right now, this is just speculation, so it hasn't happened yet, courtesy of Shams for reporting this. But so I think the reason they're doing this is Brooklyn is kind of just trying to get super young and move out a lot of the old pieces. If that means, getting rid of your best sharpshooter, I would say, and kind of getting rid of that veteran presence, then okay. But so I think this is good for both teams. The Nets obviously don't want to have that $19.9 million expiring contract on their hands. So instead, what they get is the Pistons receive Joe Harris, a 2027 second round pick, and a 2029 second round pick. And the Nets receive, to be determined, obviously, because the trade hasn't come out yet. But I think this will be good for the Pistons. They have a lot of young talent on their team, and they obviously need that veteran presence and a really good sharpshooter. Joe Harris provides both of those. I think that last season he averaged 7 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist. He doesn't need to be super great. I would want those numbers to be a little bit higher if I'm trading for him. But so I think with this team, Cade Cunningham and all those guys, he's going to be pretty good. He's just going to be a shooter who can stay on the wing or shoot threes out of the corner the whole time if he needs to. So not a super big deal. So far, that looks like most of the free agents being signed off. So next up, we'll check out some NFL stuff happening around right now. So, there's not much happening around the NFL today. I think it's looking like there's not much happening around the NFL today. But I will talk to the overhypedness of the Jets and the Cowboys. So the Jets, just got Aaron Rodgers. And people are expecting a playoff team out of him. So we'll see kind of how that goes. But I think my biggest thing with most of these teams is that, especially in the AFC, Rodgers has become a Brady basically, where he's old. I don't know how many teams he can actually beat or actually be good against. I think if he were to go up against Mahomes, he would lose most of those games, and I just don't see how the Jets decide on this. I guess they wanted a veteran presence, a veteran quarterback, and they wanted somebody who knew they would be good. I just don't imagine that the Jets will be the number one in their division, much less number 3. So we'll see how that goes. Biggest thing is, so for the, let me see if I can find it real quick. Sorry guys, I'm just looking at the news real quick, just trying to catch up on some NFL stuff. It's looking like not a lot of stuff happened though. Yeah, not a lot happened. So I think so actually speaking on those from last stream, we had talked a little bit about the gambling policy and how many players had gotten suspended. Well, it turns out that 4 of those players got suspended indefinitely. Those being Isaiah Rodgers, Rashad Berry, and Demetrius Thomas. It looks like those were the only ones, actually. Sorry. But yeah, so those guys have gotten actually suspended indefinitely, which is really surprising. The NFL has taken a super hard stance, and the reason is because those 3 players had decided to gamble on NFL games. Obviously not the smartest thing to do. What I'm more surprised about is that it took the NFL this long to catch on to it, but there's been a lot of memes, and it kind of makes sense now. So during the Vikings comeback this year, their 33-0 comeback to win the game, Isaiah Rodgers was like the worst player the worst cornerback you've ever seen in that defense, or any defense, I should say. So obviously there's a lot of memes about Isaiah Rodgers maybe throwing the game a little bit, try and get that Vikings money line. But honestly, my biggest thing is why try to even bet on that? You're going to get in trouble. Somehow the NFL will find out all their partners are with these gambling companies. So why would you try to bet on the league you play in? So that's probably the biggest thing I saw yesterday. Another thing I saw is the Jimmy Garoppolo for Derek Carr, having those 2 quarterbacks. So Jimmy Garoppolo obviously goes to the Raiders, and the Raiders send Derek Carr to the Saints. So a new story I saw was, did the Raiders make a winning decision replacing Derek Carr with Jimmy Garoppolo? And to this I say probably not. Jimmy Garoppolo is known to be hurt a lot. He's injured a lot. That's kind of the reason the 49ers want to move off of him. Derek Carr didn't have as many injury problems. Of course, the Raiders weren't getting to playoffs with Derek Carr, but also I doubt that they would with Jimmy Garoppolo. everybody keeps saying, oh, well, McDaniels used to be Jimmy's coach in New England. After watching last year, I really don't know how McDaniels will do as a head coach. It kind of it's starting to look like the Broncos days where he's just trying to. It honestly looks like he's really just trying to rebuild the 2015 Patriots, which I don't think is going to happen. And I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be that good to be able to do that. So I just don't see any of that happening. I don't think it was a winning decision to replace Derek Carr with Jimmy Garoppolo, but obviously we will find out. So that's really all the NFL news. I really just came on here to do some NBA free agency stuff and just kind of talk about that and give my opinion on like what kind of went down with that. So I will talk to everybody later, and remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will be posting this over there.